The name that we wanted to use was Master Blaster, and we discovered at the time that there was a pinball simulation program called Billy Budge's Raster Blaster available for the Apple computer, so decided to change the name to avoid confusion. We pondered and toiled for a couple of weeks to come up with a better name for the game, and in frustration ended up just simply shortening it to Blaster.
Three. One is on display at my dad's house in Palo Alto. The other game, well, actually the second game, was converted into a Devastator game, which is a very limited edition prototype. And there have been unconfirmed sightings of the third game. Its actual whereabouts are unknown at this time. The mold unfortunately had its tendency to shrink and was only used in two games, Blaster and Bubbles. Now normally this exhibited itself in a shrinkage that made the coin door hard to open. But actually in one game it was reported that the shrinkage increased the internal pressure of the cabinet so much that the monitor was ejected across the arcade and impaled a Donkey Kong Jr. machine. Fortunately, there were no other injuries. Well, the day after we cashed the check, Atari supernovaed, and Jack Tramiel fired 90% of the workforce in the great video game crash. Unfortunately, not a single remaining Atari employee knew of the existence of the Blaster project, and Blaster forever vanished into the rubble of the great video game debacle.
Doing a first-person flying game in 1983 without any scaling or rotating computer hardware is quite a challenge. Particularly it meant that each pixel of each image had to be hand-drawn in each size and in each rotation that it was displayed in the game. This caused thousands of hours of artist time to be necessary to generate all of the artwork that you see in the game. After initial testing, the ability to buy in and continue your game when it was over by inserting additional money was removed from the game. At the same time, the game was shortened from 30 stages to 20 stages to make it possible to complete it on one coin. At this time, there was a stage called Outer Space, which among other things had this gargantuanly large Starship Enterprise that would just fly over your head for about 3 miles. And that whole stage was removed at this time.
Even though it may take 2 minutes for your 266 megahertz Pentium 2 to boot up, Blaster was programmed, believe it or not, with a 1 megahertz chip. And man, did it hurt.